There is a search underway at the moment at Marburg. A young girl, I don't have her age, has fallen overboard from an SES flood boat. I've been told her family and herself were being evacuated from their home. So there is a massive search underway. Obviously, the weather is horrific everywhere around southeast Queensland and also out in Marburg. But, yesterday and today we've just witnessed events that we never thought we would see. We were over the top of the car at Murphy's Creek when we saw a family clamber on top and had to watch helplessly as they, went down this rapid river. Today, we can confirm that there are now 9 dead and 66 people missing. And be nervous. I mean, most people, if you were old enough, you would remember the 74 flood. Growing up, we've all heard the stories of, where the water came to, what happened, and now they're predicting that this is going to be worse than 74. So people are watching what's happened in the Lockyer Valley, are preparing. We have heard of people packing up their homes. I have friends myself who are packing up beneath their homes. They live along the Brisbane River and are getting out before it hits. So I think people are prepared. We've heard of panic buying in shopping centres, particularly in Ipswich and around Brisbane, as people prepare possibly to be cut off. And as you've heard, there are thousands of homes who could be surrounded by water and may not be able to get out.
Erin, of course, we are being urged to stay calm, not to panic at this stage. That is the advice to people. But where can people go at this stage? What emergency shelters are being set up?
People have been told to evacuate immediately if they flooded in the 74 floods. They've been told either to stay with family and friends or to many evacuation centres which have been set up. Now, I know the Lord Mayor is obviously preparing for up to 3,000 people who may need emergency shelter. The long-term ramifications of this is huge. We could have hundreds, if not thousands of people who need emergency shelter for months, if not, 12 months. I've travelled, obviously, over the last 3 weeks up and down the Queensland coast. Towns like Theodore have been almost entirely wiped out. It is a mammoth problem up and down the Queensland coast, and it's only going to get worse, as we know.
And as you said, the greatest threat in more than 35 years, Brisbane and Ipswich, the next couple of days. That is when things will be particularly tense. Thursday and Friday will be.
We've had so much rain that eventually even the creeks are going to start backing up. I mean, this problem, it is going to be massive. You have to remember too, because of the emergency declarations that we have had in Queensland since before Christmas, our rescuers and volunteers and emergency services personnel must be exhausted. They have travelled between every disaster centre from Dalby, Chinchilla, up to Theodore, even Ingham right before Christmas, obviously Rockhampton and Emerald. I mean, there are so many people. There could even be rescuers and volunteers that are still stranded in many of those cities, like Rockhampton, which will be cut off possibly for another 2 weeks or 3 weeks by air. So, I'm sure that there are volunteers arriving from Victoria. I know there were volunteers sent to Rockhampton and Emerald and Theodore last week, but they would have to be preparing to get more people in before, this devastation arrives.
As the La Niña weather pattern tightens its grip on the country, meteorologists say it's been 35 years since they've seen wild weather like this.
Extremely rare to see rainfall this widespread and heavy, particularly at this time of year. Often through the summer, the heaviest rain is confined to northern parts of the country, but we're seeing tropical moisture spread south all the way to Tasmania this week.
Southeast Queensland received up to 300 millimetres of rain in 24 hours yesterday. Today, another 50 millimetres in just 1 hour.
Over the past few days, very moist easterly winds, pumping in moisture off the Coral Sea across southeast Queensland. Sitting above the surface, a few kilometres high, is a low pressure system that's taking all that moisture, lifting it up into the atmosphere. We're getting thick cloud, heavy rain and thunderstorms.
Extra moisture is being fed into the region by a monsoonal trough.
Well, in the short term, there's some good news. The heavy rain is going to ease up by tomorrow over southeast Queensland. The red shading, that's the heaviest falls. Tomorrow, just light showers, the blue shading over southeast Queensland.
But other parts of the country are now bracing for torrential rain. Australia could have flooding in 5 states by this weekend.
Well, for the rest of southeastern Australia, the heaviest rain is still to come. Now, over the past 24 hours, flooding has also developed on the north coast of New South Wales. The worst of it there is in the Clarence Valley. But further south from that, we're expecting torrential rain through western New South Wales, eastern South Australia, all the way down to Tasmania over the next 4 days. The Western Murray Basin, that's where the heaviest rain should be. We're looking at falls up around 150 millimetres over the next